because being a Christian was boring. All my non-Christian friends, they could party and drink and chase skirts and all of these things, and well, we had to go to church and we had to do good by people, and it just got so boring. So when I left home, I not only left home, I decided to leave my faith behind as well. I had enough. I'd gone to church my whole life, and I followed this creed my whole life, and it was time for me to have some fun. And that's exactly what I did. Went to the military, and in the military, I don't know if anybody's experienced that, but it's a different kind of lifestyle, and learned drugs, learned drinking, and all these things that were so fun that I grew up missing out. Got it. Finally got it. Moved to Australia in 2004, and there was something about Australia that it was like fuel to the fire. You know, where I'm from, church, faith is a very, very big thing. Where when I came to Australia, I found that Australian culture overall was do as you like. Yeah. You know, it's like,
You'll be right, mate.
yeah, if you want to go to church, go to church. If you don't. So me, it was just like, oh, wow, this is great.
Why didn't they come to you earlier?
Yes, that's right. And I got married, met a lady here, got married, and not too soon after getting married, I found speed.
Nasty.
Yes, horrible stuff. But speed made me feel really good about myself. You know, I suffered a bit of trauma from my time in the military. Wasn't ever too, comfortable in my own skin, I suppose. And speed really made me feel like Superman, that I could just do anything. I was socially acceptable. I was just the man. I love the feeling of it. But anybody who's ever been down that route knows that with speed or with any other drug, you're going to pay for it with more than money. With everything that it gives you, it takes as well. And slowly over time, it took from me to where I got to the point, the two things I cared about were drugs and work, because work got me money to give me drugs. That was it. Wish I could have been a burglar like everyone else, but I'm a bit too clumsy with the feet, so couldn't quite do that. And everything went well. I still felt this connection to God, but it was more of an anger. I was always angry with God. I blamed God for everything that had ever happened in my life. And especially when I would get really high, when I get, as we say, really cooked. I'd always have conversations with God, and it was always just this hate, absolute hate. But it was also a bit of arrogance as well, because I'd proven I didn't need God in my life. Look at me. I've come to Australia, I'm a nurse, I've got 2 houses, a wife and kids, I've got money saved in the bank. Ha!
What a lifestyle.
Who needs God? All these people running after God, and they're struggling in their lives, and the farther I get away from God, I'm the man. It's just the better things are getting. And it worked that way up until 2015. 2015, I'll always say that's when God said, that's enough. That's enough. He pulled the plug. And within a week, I lost my marriage, lost my kids. I lost my career, I lost all my friends, lost my money, my properties. It was those 7 days, every day I lost something. To where I got to the point where all I had was drugs. And that's the only thing that I had. I had no motivations to do anything else in my life. And I became even more angry. And I used to say to God, well, what is it? What is it? I've gone out on my own. You've let me go out on my own. I've done all these things, and what now you take it away from me. And I was just so angry all the time. Until I got to the point where, with my drug use and with my anger, I became a violent person, which I was never a violent person before. And somebody had to pay for what I've done, what's happened in my life. And I became fixated on a certain person who I thought was to blame for the end of my marriage. And I formulated a plan. I was going to get this person really good. And it worked. And I did it. Went inside this person's house and stabbed him. 4 times. 4 times. And I got my revenge. Except it didn't really feel that great. Probably because I went to prison right after them as well. So going to prison, it was good for me at first. It was the first time in probably a decade where I've been sober. Maybe not clean quite yet, but sober. Wasn't using drugs anymore. Even though there was drugs in prison, it wasn't really my cup of tea. And I really always wanted to get clean. It was the only chance that I had. So I found myself sober, but still lacking. Something just, yes, I'm sober. Yes, my mind's clearing up. My skin's getting better. My health is improving. But something is still missing. I'm still angry. Still very angry. Maybe even more angry because now my freedom's been taken away from me as well. I found sobriety, but I'm locked up in prison. No contact with my kids. I have no wife. All I could think about was what I was losing. So I had a cellmate who was a Christian. He'd rediscovered his faith in prison. And he started saying to me, look, why don't you go to church with me on Sundays?
No,
Church. But he told me at church, they got Scotch fingers. Free cups of tea, coffee, Scotch fingers, and catch up with boys from other units. Ho, I'm in. Why not? You know, I can pay for Scotch fingers. I can get as many as I want. I'm like, all right. So that's what drew me back into church, Scotch fingers. But at one service, the chaplain, he read something to me out of the Gospels. Not to me, but it felt like it was to me. And it was the words of Jesus. And Jesus said, he who comes to this well will have to come back again, will thirst again, will come back again. But he who drinks my water will have everlasting life. And something about that, it just like, couldn't digest it. It was just, what is it about this? I grew up reading the Bible. I've read every last word of the Bible. You know, I've read this many times before. But there was something about that right then and there that, wow, just hit me and stuck with me. So I went outside, had my Scotch fingers, had my tea, but still it was just sitting with me. And I walked back to the unit, and that's when it happened. It was like I had my eureka moment. Wow. The word became real to me right then and there. It wasn't the water for me. I'd never been thirsty like that. I made it my own. And I felt like what the Spirit, what Jesus was saying to me, he said, he who goes to this pipe, he who goes to this needle will have to get high again. You will always chase a high. But if you come to me, come to see what I have, you will be everlasting high. You will be high from me. And it was just so profound. And you asked the guys that were there, everyone thought I was an absolute lunatic because I just couldn't stop saying it. I was walking, we were locked behind our grills, cells open, and I was just walking around, just going, he who chases this pipe will have to get high again. But he who comes to me will have everlasting high. Guys were just looking at me, just like, I've lost my mind. And even me, I was thinking, I'm kind of having an out-of-body experience. Going, maybe I have lost my mind a bit, but I just couldn't stop saying this over and over. So they locked us up in our cell, and I explained to my cellmate what had happened. And he said, well, I think we need to talk to the chaplain. This is a little bit beyond me, you know. And I decided that night, I cried. I got angry, I felt like for the last time with God. And I felt like God and I duked it out that night. I got my pillow, put it over my face, because you can't cry in prison, you know. You gotta be a tough guy. And I just cried. I bit my pillow and I screamed inside. And I asked God there and I said, all I've ever wanted is to be high. And these kind of highs, they don't work. I'm gonna give you a chance. Give you a go again. Can you take me to where I've always wanted to be, where I was meant to be? And I woke up that next morning, just felt different. Couldn't explain it. Just felt different. I felt hope. I felt what I came to know as grace. That everything that I had done in my life, I have done it. It's still there. It's not going to be erased, but I'm forgiven. And the feeling, even now, just saying it, comes over my neck and my arms that, yes, I have committed some great sins in my life, but no matter what I've done, no matter how far down the scale I've gone, I am now forgiven.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. So I went to see the chaplain, and he was amazed, because the chaplain knew me as this angry guy who just came for Scotch fingers, and that's it, you know. And it's been a journey. It's been a journey. Learning still. I still feel that in the faith I learn more every day, learn about myself, learn more about the Lord every day. But I am so thankful. I am so thankful for going to prison, having prison fellowship, for having fellow inmates, you know, who are Christians. And I've been out for 6 months now, and I've had my struggles. I have. Not every day has been sunshine and oranges. There's been darkness here and there. But my faith has remained strong. My faith has remained the thing that has guided me. And yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.
Hey, Adelson.